Um, Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarch Steve. Today I'm joined by Luke Hart from the DM Lair. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing okay-ish.
I always want to say your YouTube channel wrong. I always want to say the DM's Lair. I don't know why.
Oh yeah. For convenience, I have a shirt.
Yeah, there you. Yeah, I need all the visual aids I can possibly get, and then some. So
Awesome. Yeah, dude. That always helps. I figured I was actually picking up my shirt because I was like, I should go take a shower and stuff for this. And I'm like, go pick up my shirt. And I was like, what would be the best shirt to wear? I'm like, well, how about one that says the name of your channel? Yeah, that's a great idea. And I'm like, all right, here we
I'm
go.
just visualizing you go to like this big walk-in closet, like it is real long, and it's just racks of coat hangers with the DM's Lair shirt on them.
I mean, it is a very big walk-in closet. However, there are only two shirts in there that say the DM Lair. It's not that many.
You need one for every day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I technically have like various D&D shirts, with different sayings on them that would stretch probably at least 1 week, if not a couple. But I'm not quite so vain as to have them all say the DM Lair.
I have to actually re-up on my D&D shirts. We did like early on. We did a sponsorship with Armor Class 10, and they just sent us like a bunch of great shirts. And I'm just like one of those people that'll wear the same T-shirt for like 20 years. Yeah, not the only shirt, but
This is the only shirt I wear.
this is the only one I wear. But no, I mean I've literally had shirts that are probably older than my kids. And the good ones hold up. So Yeah. So what's going on in the DM Lair world?
The DM Lair world right now. Right now, I'm just sending a message to everybody on my Discord to come hang out with us. So that just happened.
Boom!
All right, we get some folks over here. Right now, the DM Lair. I mean, it's the weekly grind of making videos after videos after videos after videos. We recently, which is good. But yeah, we also just recently, in January, I started publishing a monthly magazine to my patrons as well.
Yeah.
So that keeps me very, very busy. We have a variety of different freelancers that are contributing to it and stuff like that. So that keeps me sane to not have to do it all myself. And we have quite a few talented people, a couple that are definitely showing some amazing stuff. Like I'll read the copy they submit for Lair magazine, and
Yeah.
I'll be reading. I'm just like, wow, this is good. Wow, wow. I don't even know if I would have thought of something this cool, So it's cool to be finding some really talented people, that can help contribute to it and bring it all together. You know what I mean? So that keeps me very busy. And then we have the Kickstarter that we're getting closer to fulfillment. So I'm, that's most of my work is done at this point. Mostly I'm just like project manager. Hey, layout. Hey guy, can I get a contract? I just tried to push the project along,
Yeah.
so we're getting closer and closer to that. So the layout is giving us a little bit of a delay right now where it's putting us behind. At first it was some of the copy editing and some of the artwork that was delaying us. And now that's done. We're past that. And now it's the layout, and so that we could actually send it to the printer, which is we're waiting on right now. So those are the big things right now in my life as far as like the business goes. So.
That's the worst, right? When you're just like waiting for somebody else and you can't do anything.
Yeah, because if it was work that I could do, and I'm just like, Luke, come on, let's go, get it done, and then I could take care of it. But it's like I can't lay this out, I can't do it. I need a professional to do this.
Yeah.
So
No, I totally feel you. I mean, we're really lucky because we've got Nerdator Doug, who were able to steal away from the newspaper industry, who does all of our layout and editing.
Oh man,
he's our resident word nerd.
What's his name again? Can I get his email?
Nerdator Doug. Many have tried stealing him away, but he's ride or die for life.
Oh,
I'm even like, yo, you could probably get a better job doing this over here. He's like, nah, I'm with you guys.
Everyone has a price, man. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. Oh no, now you sound like that wrestler. What was it, $1 Million Man?
Oh, I never got into wrestling. I know the basics. I mean, I know who Hulk Hogan is, Randy Macho Man Savage or something like that.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Warrior. So I know some names, but not a whole lot.
I used to watch when I was a kid. And at
Yeah.
some point I stopped watching, but like my dad and my brother would still watch. Like, because Saturday mornings used to be great. It was like cartoons, and then you had you had wrestling, then it was like Kung Fu Theater. But I think before Kung Fu Theater, it might have been like monster movies like Godzilla and Gamera and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was a very rough day for my younger brothers. I just want to let you know, because they didn't have disclaimers back then.
Oh, geez.
Back then, you could totally do this stuff in your own home and it was fine.
Oh, well, yeah. So today they have disclaimers. Kids don't do this at home.
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, for everything.
Wow. Yeah, I watched cartoons and stuff on my Saturdays, like G.I. Joe. There was like some Marvel X-Men ones that were on when I was growing up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were huge. Yeah, those, but I never got into wrestling. It always seemed fake to me. And I'm just like, I don't know why people watch this. It's so clear this isn't real. They're all faking it.
Yeah.
It's so clear that he didn't just get slammed on his head, he'd be dead. And it never appealed to me, you know.
Yeah. I can tell you can survive being pile drived.
Is this from personal experience?
It is. I told you it was rough on my brothers that Saturdays.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then it was like, oh my God, don't tell mom, don't tell mom, don't tell mom. That was the scary part.
Oh, if your mom's gonna find out.
Yeah.
I might have a broken neck. I think I can live through that. But if mom finds out,
forget about it.
Yeah, that's horrible, man.
Yeah. So with all that stuff going on, you got a day job too. Are you able to actually sneak in gaming?
How do you schedule it? Yeah. You have it on the calendar and you just prioritize it, you know? There's no sneaking about it. It's a very intentional, deliberate act. It's scheduled and you commit to it and you tell people you're going to do it and then you just make it happen. It's enjoyable though too, you know. Not always. Sometimes there are always the games where you go and you DM it and you're just like, oh, okay, you know, I would have rather had the day off or something because whatever. But it's because it's enjoyable, you know, and you can look at it as your escape from work, you know, for a moment and just kind of relax and have fun. You know, you still have to prepare, but usually preparing for it starts to get you in the mood, you know, and then you're just like, oh, yes. Like, for instance, we did Curse of Strahd yesterday, and in the morning I was preparing the Wizard's Tower they were going to go through. What I thought they would go through it. I wasn't sure because these guys change their mind and go lots of different places. They have like 10 plot hooks. I never really know, but I figured they're probably going to get to the Wizard's Tower eventually, so I'll prep it. And then during the process of prepping it, you know, again, you get in the mood, you get excited, and you're just like, oh yeah, D&D day, you know. So yeah.
Are you always the GM?
Yeah, almost always. Occasionally I'll get someone that'll offer to run a one shot or something like that. Oh no, the Juice from Master of the Game, he does a Descent into Avernus game for me. Who's the other dude? YouTubers and stuff.
Draven Swiftbow.
I don't think he's in it.
No, he's in a bunch of them.
He's a guy from Grand Rapids. Nate. He has,
Waz D20.
Thank you. That one right there. Yeah, he's in it. And then there's some other people.
Are you from that neck of the woods too?
I mean, I'm in the Michigan area. Yeah. I'm in the Lansing area. So they're not too far away from me.
Look, man, when you're in the same state, unless it's Texas, I feel like you might as well be neighbors, right? And you, because you'll be talking to someone and like, where are you at? And they're like, Australia. So.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, that's true. They're both like an hour and a half away from me or something, you know.
That's,
so like
that's reasonable if you wanted to go hang out, you know, or whatever.
Or if they borrowed my minis and didn't return them, I know where to. I could find them.
You can go get them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to book a flight, you know. So
no, just drive for an hour and a half. Yeah. We used to play in person near the Grand Rapids, and it was like an hour and a half drive to get there. We'd stop playing around 11:30 at night, and an hour and a half to get home. And I was like, "Oh, this is horrible! I can't do this." And then we went online because of COVID, and I was like, "Hey, this is beautiful! I don't have to drive anywhere."
Yeah. So. Do you enjoy gaming online?
No, I hate it.
Okay.
It's miserable. I love gaming in person. It is so enjoyable. there's so much. It's just better. You're with your friends. You're joking. You're relaxing. The atmosphere is improved.
Yeah.
You have miniatures. You can put them on a board and stuff like that. I don't have to goof around with stupid maps for Roll20. I can just bring in my grid paper and draw the stupid thing out. Have some terrain for my miniature box, to put on there to spice it up and stuff, and then put my miniatures that I painted on there. And it's just it's better. It's more fun. It's more enjoyable. You're spending time with people in person. It's better. You get out of the house. It's your weekly jaunt to get away from like the same thing I look at every day. So it's way better to game in person, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've all of our games have always been in person, and like we used to never go to conventions, never go to game stores. Like we like lived in this tiny little bubble until we like came online with Nerdarchy, and like, oh, there's other things out here and people doing these things. Even like we don't use VTTs, man. Like all the VTTs are always trying to woo us, and I'm like, yeah, your stuff's great and all, but like, it's just like we're old and crotchety and set in our ways, So when we play, like Ted will do the terrain and stuff and set up an extra camera.
Okay.
And also, like, we always have done like, breakout minis and maps and stuff for scenes, not like the whole game, right? Mm-hmm. Also, folks, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. But I should have said this before, but just put a question in front of it. It makes it easier for them to pick out. Rivers wants to know if you've ever gone to the Yukon in Ann Arbor.
I was looking for conventions to go to, and I saw the Yukon one in Ann Arbor, and I was considering it. I forget why I decided not to go to it, but right now I've just settled into going to Marmalade Dog and then Grand Con each year. It's hard for me to go to conventions. I have to take all of my work, speed it up, schedule it out in advance so I can actually clear a weekend for a convention. So I have to be very deliberate about which ones I go to.
It is tough. Yeah. And then when you get there, it then ends up being a lot of work as well. Right. So, I mean, for us anyway, like I've never really gone to a convention just to enjoy it. I do enjoy them and it's fun and I get to see everybody, but like my experience going is probably a lot different than like the layperson's.
Yeah. Usually nowadays when I go to a convention, I'll have one game that I've prepared to run, one adventure, I should say. I usually run it twice over the weekend. I used to run the same adventure on a Friday, on a Saturday, and then on a Sunday. And I would notice that by Sunday, running the exact same adventure again, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this.
It's during your sleep.
So it wasn't enjoyable anymore. So I now only do it twice. I'll usually do it on a Friday, then a Saturday. But most of the time I try to leave for me to just wander around, talk to vendors, look at stuff, play in games. It's like my only opportunity to do things like play Call of Cthulhu, which I really enjoy, or to play different games that I haven't played before. I usually try to get myself into different games and try them out because I only ever run D&D 5th edition. So it's like I want to expose myself to more stuff, and conventions are the beautiful time to do that. So I don't run a whole lot of games at conventions. I much prefer to just have free time to just wander around and do stuff or play in other people's games. So
that makes sense. So Danny wants to know if your paladin died.
My paladin died? No, Jews can't kill my paladin. You kidding me? The dungeon master has no power over my paladin. I'm a paladin. It's like the most overpowered class of the whole game. You can't kill the paladin. No,
it's like the DM was going to kill my paladin, and then I just smited him for 372 points of damage.
He was there was a TPK on the horizon, and my paladin grew wings, grabbed one of the survivors, and we flew away. And everybody else died. So he still didn't get my paladin. And now we have a party of kobolds. So no, paladin's still alive.
You got kobold fodder. He'll never die.
Oh, jeez. Well, yeah. I'm a cleric kobold too. We rolled. What we did is we decided we were all going to play kobolds, and then we rolled for the classes. So we didn't even get to choose our classes, and I rolled up a cleric. I mean, we rolled dice, and cleric fell to me. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll be a cleric, which is not bad. Clerics are pretty fun.
Also, like of all the classes you could pick, one, clerics have the most subclass options.
Oh, yeah.
Two, they just have a ton of options as far as like what kind of cleric you're going to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and you can be the melee, and then you can also have spells you can cast. You can buff. You can do damage. I usually tend to go toward the buffing route when I'm a cleric, as except for Spirit Guardians, of course. Spirit Guardians is the no brainer
Yeah.
shredder that's probably better than Fireball pound for pound. Uh,
The Spirit Guardian spiritual weapon combo is a pretty good one.
hmm.
You just end up with a lot of actions. So Darth
Yep.
Mayhem wants to know what's your least favorite part of online gaming?
My least favorite part of online gaming, making the maps and putting them in roll 20, like putting them in, using the maps, just having to dink around with creating maps and then putting the tokens and then doing dynamic lighting. It's like, so in online play, I don't have to drive somewhere to play, so I save time there, but I lose all of that time again when I have to make the maps in roll
Yeah.
20. So if I didn't, that's my least favorite part of it. There are other parts I enjoy. I enjoy the fact that I have all of my books here. I don't have to lug them around. I don't have to carry. I usually carry like I don't have to carry all my camera equipment to record the game in somebody else's house. Like
Yeah.
everything is boom, 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 turn it on. So there's a lot of convenience attached to it. But so there are definitely benefits to online gaming for sure. You know what I mean?
What do you use for mapping?
I have two things I use for mapping. One, I pay other people to make the maps for me. Two, I pay other people to make the maps for me.
Nice. Those are very good.
I
They're
don't make
efficient.
my own. I don't make my own maps. Like
Yeah.
I will either if I am running something that's I might take something off from Google or something, you know what I mean? If I'm not planning on like really doing anything with it, you know what I mean? But most of the time what I find myself doing is homebrewing something, and then I will either have somebody make a map for me, or my preference is to go out and get an existing map. Like right now, I have a thing going with the Mad Cartographer who makes tons of amazing maps. And so when I was doing my Wizard's Tower, I was like, oh, okay, let's just you know, use some cool, awesome, beautiful maps here, and then probably I might take those maps and put it into Layer Magazine in the future too. So it's actually easier for me when I'm creating an adventure to start with a map, even if
Mhm.
somebody else has made it, and then create the adventure with the pre-existing map. It actually helps give me ideas of things to do by looking at the map that I might not have already thought about. So it's usually my preferred method. I would start with an existing map. It's actually easier for me for various reasons. Yeah.
That makes sense. I've been using Dungeon Fog for a little while. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a sponsor, so I feel morally obligated. But also, I actually do like it because we don't take
Yeah.
sponsors for things we don't actually like. But
Mhm.
um, it's one of the more intuitive programs that didn't make me feel like I had to know AutoCAD. To be honest with you, and I only use it for about a tenth of what it can do. Like we are a terrible ambassador for them. They're good. You know why? Because we just our games have always been so low prep anyway. And
Mhm.
prior, like I probably would do the same thing that you do and just go online and find the map, especially if I'm not streaming it, I'm not using it for something else. Like
Mhm.
someone has already done this somewhere better
Yep.
than I could do it. You know.
Exactly.
Although I am intrigued by Dungeon Alchemist. I don't know if you saw that Kickstarter or not, but
Mhm.
it's mapping software that has an AI built into it. So it's
Okay.
like you just literally draw a box of a room and tell it what kind of room it's supposed to be, and it's like populated automatically. And then
Hmm.
you can like
Interesting.
tweak and change it. Like and
Yeah.
you should look it up and go look at it. Even if you don't want to use it, it
Mhm.
just looks cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, just in general, I'm always a little hesitant of like certain the Kickstarters that involve like development work, programming, actually
Yeah.
completing software and stuff. So I don't know. There's always something about those Kickstarters where I'm just like, are you actually going to do it? Do you actually? Because that's like development work's not easy.
No.
It could take your team of five several years to do that. So
I backed the Kickstarter project when we first started Nerd
uh-huh.
Arcade, and it was for these. You get square or hexagon. I think the map sections were hexagon and they were magnetic, and you would
Mhm.
just stick them together, and then you could draw them. They're erasable. I still haven't seen that. I think I got a stack of them taller than me that are supposed to be coming.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
But
that's
you know, it's funny. Like Kickstarter, like I don't feel like people really understand what Kickstarter is, right? Like it. what it gets used for now is like a kind of like a pre-order system, right? But that's not really what the intent was. It was
Right.
like, so like I've always looked at it as like going in as like, I might get this thing they said they're going to try and make. Um, but then sometimes people try and make things that are a little bit more ambitious than
Right.
what they're capable of. It's not always that they're malicious. Sometimes they just fail.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes they don't realize that, oh crap, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
and now I can't do it anymore for X, Y, and Z reasons. So
Or yeah, the money runs out or whatever. So Fry Minis, where are the cats? Fry Minis asking the important questions.
one of them is literally right here. Squeaky is right here bothering me. He wants to jump up on my lap. So that's yeah.
Well, they know the internet was made for cats, so
Yes. Well, I mean, I have a special camera dedicated to my cats. Um, literally what the camera is for. So yeah.
Another question for Fry Minis. As a Michigander, how many times have you had olive burgers at Hot and Now?
Never. Oh, you know what? I I have been to Hot Now when I was growing up, when I was like in middle school and stuff, maybe into high school. That was actually one of our favorite burger joints because we were so poor that
Yeah.
like it was like Hot Now because you get a hamburger for I don't know, it was definitely under $1. It was probably 50 cents or so. I don't remember what it was. It was super cheap. So we would go to Hot Now and we'd get a bunch of hamburgers and fries. You'd have to drive from like where I grew up over to Owasso. So it was like a 20-minute drive maybe. Um, but yeah, that was one of our favorite places. Just
All the
because,
money you saved, you spent in gas.
well, but back then, gas was like
A
under
lot
$1
cheaper.
a gallon. It was under $1 a gallon, so it wasn't. And yeah,
Wait a
so
minute, under down. Let's see. It might have been,
I know that when I was graduating high school, gas was about $1.
what year
When I
did you graduate high school?
1998, it was under $1. I remember it was just that's what it was. And then for the longest time, I didn't drive really when I
That
was in
doesn't
college.
sound right to me at all.
Oh, it was under $1.
I mean, I remember being under $1, like maybe when I was in high school, which would have been before then. I don't know. Maybe is gas that much cheaper in Michigan than in New Jersey? I don't
Oh
know.
gosh, are you kidding me? Yes, you're in New Jersey. Twice as much, probably.
No, honestly, most people come here and right. First of all, it's illegal to pump your own gas in Jersey, and most people come here and they're like, "Wait a minute, I'm allowed. Someone else is going to pump the gas, and it's less." Like,
What? Or are they coming from New York? Because that'll explain that.
well, we definitely PA, New York, but a lot of people will come through for the Jersey Shore. So
Okay. Why is it illegal to pump your own gas?
I don't know. It's just a New Jersey thing. There's only 2 states in the country.
Wow.
I don't know.
Huh, because other people in the rest of the free world have been pumping their own gas for a long time and it hasn't caused an issue.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. We keep those jobs. I guess.
I mean, we could still have switchboard operators that manually put the cords in and cords out, but
Yeah, let's bring that back.
At some point, people have to evolve to a higher level or something. I don't know.
Before you know it, the gas is going to pump itself anyway.
Yeah, you won't need gas. We'll just have nuclear reactors in our cars. It'll
Yeah.
be beautiful,
So Chief Matt One wants to know what's the most heated argument you've had to mediate or diffuse in one of your games.
What was one of the what? I missed the first part.
One of the most heated arguments.
The most heated argument. I actually had one recently. I had one recently because in one of my games they were about to go off against a dragon. Okay, and like they knew they were going to fight the dragon. So for 2 weeks prior to that fight, they were discussing offline like this is what we're going to do. They were doing all this planning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, they're just like we'll do this. This is the plan. Blah 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 blah. And then when it came to it, when we're actually playing it, all the plans of mice and men just went right out the window. And one of the players did something that wasn't according to the plan. And then one of the other players flipped out over it and was really upset about it. And I put my foot down hard on that. I was like, no. We're going to treat people respectfully. Nope. You just stop right there, And so I had to step into that stuff. Yeah, that was probably about a month ago or so. We had that. Yeah.
We haven't had any like really heated discussions in a while. I mean, we've definitely had I mean, up to violence breaking out at the table over the years. So
You've had violence break out at the table?
yeah, yeah.
Oh dang.
One of our players got pissed at another player and jumped up and put them in a headlock, but they're like 5'2", and the person they put in a headlock's like 6'3", and like they're more like it was a very good one. They're more confused and stunned than anything.
He's like, what are you doing to me?
Why
Okay,
are you
get
doing
off
this?
from me.
and then
I've never had any physical violence at a table before.
and then like, oh man, this is going back over 20 years ago. We had this one guy that played with us, and he was a Marine recruiter and an atheist and a little bit wacky. And someone charmed their character in game to make them say a prayer to the sea god before he went on the ship. And he got so pissed out of game. He's like, if you ever do that again, I will effing end you. So
wow.
Yeah,
it's a game. Like we do lots of things in game that I don't believe are ethical, moral, or that I believe in real life. But I understand that it's just a game, you know.
It is just a game. At the end of the day, I mean, I've always thought the people at the table are more important than the game itself. So
yeah, for sure. Because the game's always going to be changing.
Yeah, but I met. Also, we've had like a lot of weird stuff happen over the years, but we've been playing a long time. So like, I've been playing with Ted in some iteration of this group for 20 plus years. So
oh, nice. So Ted has been the pillar that's always kind of been there.
He has been sort of. Yeah. So like when that group started, it was like me, Ted, my youngest brother Ryan, his friend Nate. So it was weird because like I was like in my early 20s, and they were all like college and high school age. And so in some iteration or another, that group has kind of always stayed together with maybe like 6 months off here, 3 months off there, but as far as D&D groups go, it's pretty rock solid.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like you have it almost seems like you always have the two spectrums. It's like the groups that fall apart within a few months and are always just kind of like this turnover and just this, and then you have the groups that are like, we've been gaming for 20 years, dude. I don't know what you guys' all problems are.
So we've had a combination of that. There's definitely been turnover, right, over the years. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Like even my brother Ryan moved out to New Mexico and then came back. So, we've had people leave and come back, and I guess like in early years, one of the things that helped keep it together was the fact that some of our members were in high school and college. So those are great places to recruit new players.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And then like after that, the group would just shrink down. It's like, oh, maybe we only have four people at the table. But I mean, we were able to keep it going for a while. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like turnover is something I've always dealt with too, even in all the groups that I run. And the trick really that I've found, at least, to keep my groups at a good number is just keep recruiting. Somebody leaves because of life. Okay, well, here's a game. I put a poster up at the game shop, a couple game shops. I get some emails, and boom, I got some more players going. Or I put up a post on the LFG and Reddit, and you get some more players. It does require the willingness to play with strangers and folks you don't know. But I've had really good success with that. Occasionally you'll get somebody who's just like, "Ooh, no, this is not a good fit." But a lot of times it's good people, and they come and play, and then you make some friends.
That's the best part. Strangers are just friends you haven't met yet, right?
Yeah,
unless they're axe murderers, and then it could go in a different way.
And the beautiful thing too, what I love about when you bring in strangers to play D&D, is the reason they're at the table with you is to play D&D. It's not because they just want to socially hang out with friends and they're going to goof around and they don't really care about the game. They want to play D&D. That's why they're there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So it helps your game to have just a more focused, intention or atmosphere to it. Because sometimes you can get friends together, and really the dungeon master is the one who wants to play the game, and the other friends are just like, okay, we'll do it, but they're not really committed to it, and then it can be frustrating, if not everybody has that same like desire to play. You know what I mean?
I've been on all ends of the spectrum over the years, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't have a strong opinion on that because there's definitely times when it's like this is just an excuse for me to get together with my buddies and do something together, and the game is just the thing that's happening while we do that. And other times it's been like very serious about the game. But I do feel like if it's too much about the game, that's when you get all these weird questions on your YouTube channel about like, how do I make player X do this thing, right? And you realize like first you're like, who are you playing the game with, and why is this an issue? And two is like you can't make anyone do anything.
Right? Why would you want to make them do that?
Yeah.
Just present a situation and let them react how they're going to react, and then you adjudicate. That's what you do. You don't have to force anybody to do anything.
But the crux of it is they're always trying to fix out of game problems with in-game solutions. I'm like, it doesn't work.
That's because people are morons. They don't understand. But that's not problem resolution. That just
it's usually just being passive aggressive.
Yeah, and it makes it worse.
Yeah,
you're not addressing the root cause. You're not trying to solve the root cause. What you're really doing is you're screwing them over in the game, hoping they get the hint, and they probably are just going to get more upset and be worse than they already are. So yeah, it's not a good way to go about problem solving.
Caleb wants to know, have you ever had a DM that did not let players use ready actions? Can I take this real fast? I will say, having played, from first edition up until fifth edition, I've played with like every kind of DM you can probably play with, and many of them in the earlier editions were very antagonistic when you played, so an adversarial. So anything you could think of, there was a GM to say no to it.
Yeah. I don't know if we're talking about strictly fifth edition. That's never specifically happened. Obviously, it's the Dungeon Master's prerogative to set the rules of his game and change things how he wants to change them. I've had Dungeon Masters do different homebrew rulings over the years and stuff when I have been a player. None of them have really bothered me. Usually the attitude I try to adopt is, hey, you know what? This is his game. He's running it. If he says that you can't counterspell in his game, then you can't counterspell. If he says that paladins don't exist in his game, then they don't exist. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't make a big deal about those things. Now, if he has certain rules that make the game unenjoyable for me and I'm not having fun, that's a different story. Then I might find a different game. But I'm usually not going to argue with a dungeon master over his rulings. I might give him feedback, but I'm more likely to find a game that better suits me than I am to argue with someone over something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the only caveat I would add to that is if DMs that are doing that, they should let you know up front, right? Like, it sucks to be like, have a set expectation of how the game runs and then show up and then you find out like it's much different at this table than what you expected because no one ever told you, and you're kind of like finding out trial and error. Like GMs that want to do this and want to change rules, they should probably write them down somewhere and distribute them to the players so the players can then make the informed decision whether this is a game they want to be in or not.
Absolutely. And that's those expectations, and having players walk into a game knowing what they expect and how a game's going to be run and the rules that are around it is one of the reasons that I don't have a whole lot of homebrew house rule stuff. I mostly play things raw with a few tweaks. In part, it's so players know what to expect, and the other part is it's easier on my end not to have to change a whole bunch of crap and then publish stuff for people to read it, So try not to change a whole lot is what I do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. At our own table, we've made very few changes. I think like our biggest change was allowing Dragonborn to use their breath weapon as a bonus action. And also when you're doing things like that, no one's going to complain. So.
No, because the Dragonborn as written in 5th edition isn't very overwhelmingly powerful anyway. So if you give it a little tweak here, it's not that big of a deal.
After not very, I think the word you were looking for is good. So.
Yeah, I mean they have an Unearthed Arcana that came out with new Dragonborn options that actually made the Dragonborn appealable now to
Yeah.
play. Because before you look at Dragonborn and you're just like, why would I play this again? Flavor. It doesn't taste that good.
Yeah.
Okay, you move on.
Everyone wants to be a dragon person.
Yeah, until they see the stat modifiers to it, and they're just like, yeah.
But I mean, it was kind of cool. It's almost like they took a version of our fix.
They did. Making a bonus action.
Well, they didn't make it a bonus action, but if you take the attack action, you can give up an attack to do it.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah,
so it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I read through them. They seem to be pretty solid. Some of the Unearthed Arcana comes out, and you're just like, whoa! But that one seemed pretty solid for the most part. I think there were a couple things where I was just kind of like, I need to see how the thing with reading these rules and stuff that comes out is a lot of times you have to play test it and see it in action before you can really understand how it actually works and how powerful or not it is, you know? Mm-hmm. And some things become obvious very, very fast. I had a player take the Halfling Bountiful Luck.
Yeah.
We learned within about, I think, a half an hour of gameplay that it was insanely powerful. And it existed for one game in my world and then was off the list of acceptable options.
We had a Halfling using it, but, you know, I think, does it still allow them to use their lucky trait when they use it? And it's also a reaction, so I was like, whatever.
But it's an unlimited reaction.
Yeah.
Unlimited. What we found in a battle is almost every round somebody was rolling a 1 somewhere, and they were able to use we were getting multiple rerolls over the course of one battle, and I was like, whoa! And then the next battle comes, multiple reroll. It came up all the time.
I see the problem now. Your players are bad at making dice rolls.
Well, maybe, but it came up all the time. I was just like, whoa! It's like almost every round of combat. You know,
you can't use your lucky trait when you do it. That's what I thought. It still so basically it still happens where you can only do it once a round.
Right, but the difference is
a bunch of people rolling.
When you have 5 people rolling, there's a higher probability that someone is going to roll a 1 than when just one person, the halfling, is rolling. And then the probability is far lower. So it's far more powerful when you can do it for anybody as opposed to just doing it for yourself.
It's more likely to come up every round.
Exactly. It's more influential on the game outcome. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, with my luck, though, like, I'm going to get the reroll, and then I'm going to roll a 2 anyway, so...
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God, you need a party of halflings with bountiful luck.
Oh, dude, I would just be like, okay, guys, who's DMing from now on?
I'm out.
Who's doing the DMing?
Yeah, I found your Achilles heel, the bountiful luck.
I just don't allow it. We're not using this, guys.
Yeah.
It's too much.
So normally, like, when we're creating stuff, I always rather be a little underpowered than overpowered because I feel like it's easier to course correct. But on playtesting, I feel like it might be a little bit better to go the other way so that you can see what it looks like and then claw it back.
I mean, that's fair. The problem is this isn't a playtest. They published this in Tasha's.
Yeah.
It never got clawed back.
I was going back to the Unearthed Arcana part.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. But, you know, a lot of the stuff that comes in Unearthed Arcana gets published with no noticeable changes. You know, if you look at like the downtime activities that they did on Unearthed Arcana, those pretty much got ported over to Xanathar's without any sensible changes that I noticed, you know. So, and yeah, so I don't know. I'm sure they make some changes, but I have some folks who've told me that they've submitted multiple times, many different proposed changes to Unearthed Arcana. None of them are implemented, but you know, there's a sea of feedback that they get.
Yeah, I imagine.
They can't do everything, obviously.
There's like thousands of us giving them feedback. Yeah. I'm sure they're picking and choosing the ones they want.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had a play test for my Kickstarter and people were offering feedback and stuff. And, you know, I implement what I can, but there's sometimes you get like conflicting feedback or different feedback, or you get somebody who's just playing wrong and you're just like, no, I'm not doing that, dude. You know? So yeah, you can't, when you provide feedback, you cannot have the expectation that the person will make the fix. You know, the best expectation you can have is that they're going to read it, they're going to think about it, and then they'll make a decision, you know? So.
I was really sad how the psionic die got changed from the UA to the book.
Which one?
So I guess there was maybe 2 classes that used the psionic die.
Okay.
And it was like, if you use the feature, then the die shrunk. So it was a die 6 and it would go to a die 4.
Okay.
But then if you like rolled a 1, it would go back. It would grow back up to the other size. So I guess it probably just wasn't going away when they were using it. But at least it was like a fun and interesting mechanic.
Yeah.
As opposed to what it is now.
Was that? What was that with?
It was with Tasha's.
Okay, and how are they trying to implement it, and with what other mechanics?
I think the Psy Warrior and the Soul Knife had a bunch of different things where they were powered off of their psionic die, right?
Okay,
so and it would reset on a short rest or whatever. But I thought it was just a fun. I like random mechanics like that, that where everyone's waiting to see what you roll to see what happens. Like,
yeah,
we get a lot less of that.
Yeah, that mechanic is very different from any other 5th edition mechanic. Yeah. I would be interested to know like the reasoning behind some of those decisions. You know what I mean? Because they had a reason to change it. You know?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was probably like they're like, oh, this never goes away. They always have the access to this ability. It's probably my guess.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, could be. So
yeah, so you never know.
You could always still use it. It'd just be like, guys, we're using it this way. You know?
Yeah. Maybe we will. I don't know. If I play a Psyware, I'll pitch it to my GM and see what they think.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you munchkin.
I haven't read most of the things in Tasha's. I usually, for player options, I usually wait until a player actually wants to play it.
Yeah.
And then I'll read it over and I'll let them know if he can use it or not.
Yeah. So. I mean, I flipped through when I first got it, and then now we're like starting to like, look on the channel, look at the classes. Mm-hmm. So going through it, starting to like, figure out the things they changed from the unearthed arcana. No, what it is, it's not exciting to get a book anymore, right? Because like you've seen like almost all the options and all the unearthed arcana, and I mean you can like pick through to see what the changes are, but
that's really interesting. So by enlisting the public in their playtesting, they're basically taking away the mystery of their releases.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Well, that's why like your Patreon and several others are doing these like magazine style. And I think there's an appeal to that. Like I remember getting Dragon Magazine, and it was always fun to see what came in the mail. Mm-hmm. And, it was the surprising things you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
That were like the best part to me. Getting things you didn't know you wanted.
Oh, maybe I should stop telling people what's going to come in the upcoming issues.
Make it a surprise.
Like, you're getting something.
You're like, Luke was like, I listened to you, Dave. I heard what you said, and now my Patreon is cut in half.
I
hate you so much.
Yeah, like my lawyer will be contacting you. Yeah, but I've always strongly disliked the miniature boxes where you don't know what's inside.
Yeah, the blinds.
They're the square boxes and they just have miniatures in, and you have no idea what you're getting. And I'm just like, why would I want that? If I want a beholder, I want to go get a beholder. Yeah. I don't want to buy a box. But then I was talking to my buddy Joe, and he was like, Luke, I like those boxes, and here's why. Sometimes I have money and I want new miniatures, but I don't really know what I want. I just want new miniatures and I don't care. And so those boxes are beautiful because I can just go get the stupid box, open it up, and be like, oh, cool, I got some minis. So there is obviously a demographic that likes that sort of thing.
My wife's family is very big into the Christmas list, right? And to me, it was always like the lamest thing, right? It's like if you're getting someone a gift, and it's like, one, I guess it can be nice to know what someone actually wants, but also like if it's someone, like I feel like if you're getting a gift for somebody, like, and you don't know them well enough to get them a gift, maybe you shouldn't be getting them a gift anyway. Like, when you can like get those like surprise, like I would never participate in their lists, and I would just get them what I thought they would like. One year I got Ted for Christmas because he's also my brother-in-law. I got him the Colossal Red Dragon, and that wasn't on any list, right? So,
right. Did he like his dragon?
Oh, of course, it's a Colossal Red Dragon. That thing's amazing.
Did he kill anybody with it?
No, the problem with the Colossal Red Dragon is very rarely do you get to put them on the table.
He can threaten you with it. Hey
Yeah,
guys. Ah.
but they look
Yeah.
really cool on the shelf. See, the people watching on YouTube, they can't see because they don't see the full Zoom box,
Hmm.
but you can see the colossal red dragon
Oh,
holding up that
yep.
stack of books.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, that's nice. That's a big one.
yeah, well, you know what's amazing about it is like you can take a regular mini and stick it in its claw or in its mouth, or you set the adventure party next to it. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
my god, who would ever want to fight this thing? You can't
Uh-huh.
win.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Unfortunately, yeah, you really put those things on the table. Um,
Yeah,
it looks really cool. Is it painted and everything too?
yeah, that was from third edition where everything was pre-painted and
Oh, nice. That's cool.
yeah, and they just don't make minis that size anymore.
I kind of prefer my miniatures unpainted.
Yeah,
I I'm not a fan of the pre-painted minis. They usually just are not very impressive. I mean,
that's because you haven't seen me paint minis, and you'd be like pre-painted.
well, yeah, but if I had you pre-painting my minis,
Yeah.
oh, are you saying you're good at it or bad at it?
Terrible,
Oh,
terrible.
okay. Yeah, like if you're buying the pre-painted minis with the intention of that being like your base coat, and then you're going to
Uh,
go back through and add your highlights and do different stuff, then I could see that. But they're not super impressive. So I will almost just give me the white ones, Reaper Bones. Give me the white ones. I'll prime it. I'll coat it. I'll paint it. I'm good to go. So yeah.
Yeah, Ted is he loves making terrain and painting
Mm,
minis, and for me, I was like, yeah, when they came out with the pre-painted minis, I was like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah,
mm,
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't want to screw with it. They just want them. They want it. They don't want it to be like naked. But so
Yeah,
yeah, give me a pre-painted one. Yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. Yeah.
yeah. So Rivers RPG wants to know what edition did you start with, and which is your favorite?
I started with second edition. I played that all through high school and in college a bit, and then I went to after that 3.5 at some point, and then I went to fifth edition. And I I enjoy fifth edition. I also love 3.5. There are some things about 3.5 that I really really like. I I'm a when I'm a player, I am a min maxer, so I love the crunchy numbers things and thinking about that stuff. And in 3.5, there's a lot of cool stuff. You basically plan your character out in advance. You would know for level 1 to 20 what you're going to do. What I mean, just pre-planned stuff. So that I kind of enjoyed that. It was more of a crunchy edition. So I don't know. I mean, I play all fifth edition right now. It's more streamlined for sure, and probably faster to play. Probably more. I don't know. It's not as tough. Like if you're looking to expand the D&D market to the equivalent of like instead of having a bodybuilding gym where it's just like big huge guys, but you want
Yeah,
soccer moms to come in and you want to make your gym more appealing to everybody, like kind of like what Planet Fitness does. Fifth edition does that. It makes it more accessible, easier for like casual players and fans of D&D shows that just want to play but aren't so into the number crunching. So D&D fifth edition does a really good job of that. You know what I mean? So it's very enjoyable to play though. But 3.5 and fifth edition are probably right there.
yeah. I really enjoy 5e. I I like the rulings over rules philosophy better. Like in
Mm.
third edition, I felt like there were definitely way more arguments over rules, which I do not miss. The
Yeah.
crunchiness, I can take it or leave it. But
Mhm.
the thing I will say I will not ever miss is like having a new player come to the table and be like, "Here's a stack of books. Go make a character. See you in 2 hours and come play with us." Like like now it's like really easy for people to get in the game and enjoy it.
Mhm. Yeah, and even in fifth edition, if I had a totally brand new player, I'm probably going to give them the option. Hey, I can give you a pre-generated character. You give me an idea of which one to play. I can make it for you, or we can walk through it together or something. But character creation for a new player is probably one of it's the word. Depending on the player, depending on
Yeah,
how into it they are, it could be either something they love and enjoy, or it's like the impediment that keeps them from like getting into the game. So you kind of got to judge your player to see if can I just give them to them and they can do it? Are they highly motivated, or do I need to kind of walk them through this? You know, character creation is just really usually a complex part of the game, generally
it
speaking.
it is the most complex part of the game. Yeah, you're not
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Danny wants to know which your favorite adventure is.
My favorite adventure?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
Can you
Probably.
just write one? Can you say your own?
I mean, my favorite adventures are going to be the ones that I wrote myself. You know, I've done adventures with Granny Titchwillow for the Sword Coast Guard. Those have all been super fun. Um, yeah, I mean, I did like my Kickstarter Into the Fae, which has adventures in it and stuff too. But I haven't played those. Like some
Yeah.
of them I ran for a group. You know what I mean? But a lot of them I haven't actually played. You know what I mean? So there's a huge difference between writing an adventure and then playing it. Like I might read the adventure. It's like all these modules we have in our bookcases. You know what I mean? It's like I can read it and be like, hey, this sounds pretty cool, but you don't really know until you play it. Whether it's actually cool and works or not. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'll go with Granny Titchwillow as a response. But it's hard because when you run as many groups as I do, and I run fewer now than I used to. You just write so many adventures and you play so many games that people will ask you like, "What's your favorite one?" And you're just like, "I don't know, dude. They all blend together in my head, man. I don't know what to tell you."
And like they can be vastly different experiences depending on one, who ran the adventure, and two, who were you playing with.
Yeah.
Like it's a complete change. Like I'm only now just playing in my first pre-written adventure, Curse of Strahd,
Yeah.
and I've only run one pre-written adventure for 5A.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what we do is usually homebrew, and also like our group tends to be more improv anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So like we don't do a ton of prep. I feel like Ted's been doing a lot more prep lately just because he's been getting more into terrain. So he needs to know what terrain to prepare. But for the most part, like we go into a session with like 3 sentences written down and maybe the notes from the previous session and just see where it goes from there.
Yeah. I'm I'm very much like a planner when it comes to adventures and stuff. I mean, can I improv? Yeah. Do I enjoy doing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd much rather plan something out and then run it. For me, but it's a different style of game, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I used to write everything out as if I was writing an adventure, flavor text, everything. I'd write pages and pages. And then after like showing up with that stuff and like my players been like, nah, we're not doing any of that. For years, I'm just like, forget it. I'll just make it up based on what you're gonna do. Because it seems like I mean, and also like just because I don't like do a lot of pre-prep in the sense of like writing a lot of stuff out, but I'm always thinking about the games and what the players have been up to and what they're doing, and really like my sessions going forward are based off of the notes that I take from the previous sessions. So that stuff almost becomes like my prep for the session that I'm running now.
Yeah, I mean that's a form of prep, especially when you're thinking about it. Like if I'm in the bathroom shaving and I'm practicing the voice I'm going to use for a fairy dragon, that's prep for my game. It doesn't have to be some formalized process. But regarding like the pre-written adventures versus writing them yourself, I also have not run a whole lot of pre-written adventures in my life. I've mostly written my own. It's kind of the way I didn't even like when I started playing D&D, I didn't even know there were well, no, you know what? I had the second edition version of Forgotten Realms. So there was a pre-written adventure in there, but I didn't know you could buy other ones and stuff. So I was just like, I guess I got to make my own. So for years, I just make my own adventures. And then I think it was when I got into 5th edition, I learned really that there are tons of pre-written adventures. And I'm like, oh, this is a thing.
You could build a wall with arrow slits out of all those adventures.
Yeah. There are lots of them, and as I became more learned and because like I was never up until the time that I started playing 5th edition, I would say, I really did not read about D&D or anything online, the internet or anything like that. I would play D&D, but like the internet and reading about it wasn't first of all, the internet wasn't quite as accessible, back when I was playing it, especially in the high school days. You didn't have it. I didn't, so you just kind of you were in your own little world. You didn't know what was going on in the greater world of D&D, unless you went to conventions or something. But I didn't, you know what I mean? So I didn't know any of that. So it wasn't until 5th edition where I started to like watch YouTube videos about D&D or read things online. And I was like, oh, there's a whole wider world out here, that you can learn about it. So yeah, a little sheltered.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I had bought a house before owning a computer, right? So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, like, online, I had no idea. And then there was definitely a period of time where I would explore gaming online, but I would just like lurk in forums and stuff.
Mhm.
But it never really like occurred to me to combine that with the games that I was actually playing with. I don't know why. Like they were just so separate in my brain for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the very early days of N World, like I'd go lurk over there. It was before like their site exploded the first time.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
Atomic, I was a huge fan of the Atomic Think Tank over on Green Ronin,
Okay.
which was like their Mutants and Masterminds forum,
Okay.
which was kind of cool because like you could go over there and find like any comic book superhero that someone has made them already in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the huge advantage of the online community is you can, a lot of people have done a lot of this work already. Like, for instance, when I was prepping for Curse of Strahd, I was looking at some of these artifacts the players get, and I'm just like, some of these seem really powerful. Like they're going to trivialize the final fight with Strahd. I wonder if there's any suggestions for how to tweak these things. Go online. Here's a Reddit post. Here are some suggestions, and then you can learn, oh, people have done this work already. Oh, that is a really good tweak. That Ravenkind thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that sounds a lot better than what we have in the book, and they do a lot of the work for you. I need some random tables for X, Y, and Z. I can find it online without having to do it myself. So there's lots of advantages to that. Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for you personally. One,
Yeah.
how long does it take you to shoot your intros?
The intros? Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Those intros take me longer to shoot than it does my talking head part of the video. The intros usually take me, if I'm doing it, I do them in batches. So I do 4 or 5 videos, depending on how big the month is, in one take. It's all in one. So I do it in batch. So 4 or 5 videos from the time I start taking equipment upstairs to my dining room to the time that I put all the equipment away, you have at least 6 hours. It's at least 6 hours to do everything up there. But that's assuming the scripts have already been written and all of that work is done. You know what I mean? That's all done in advance. The scripts are ready. And all I have to do is set up the equipment, film everything, take the equipment down. That's the shooting. So it's 6 hours to shoot it. The talking heads usually take me about 4 to 5 hours. It depends on my setup and teardown pace, because when you're working with video equipment, you really want to be slow and meticulous about setting the equipment up and taking the equipment down, because that's when damage occurs, So yeah, talking heads take a long time. And I'm sorry, not talking heads, the skits. And the skits usually are about 1.5 to 2 minutes long in the video, whereas the talking head part's usually about 15 minutes, let's just say. And the talking head's way faster to shoot. And I'm also I call myself a one take wonder.
Yeah.
I don't do multiple takes of lines. I deliver it once, and if I didn't screw it up, I'm done. And it saves me time, but it not only saves me time, but it saves my editor time. So he doesn't have to be like, okay, Luke delivered it 3 times. Let's find the best one. That's it's a waste of his time. It's a waste of my time. If I can deliver the line once and get it good, then everybody's happier, and it streamlines the process.
Yeah. How much time do you put into scripting?
Each video script usually takes me about 3 hours to write. And I don't do word for word scripts. I kind of do and I kind of don't. I do a lot of bullet points and stuff. Yeah. I always tell myself I'm going to bullet point and not do word for word, but I'm a writer. I've been a writer for a long time. And so once I start putting words on paper, my voice starts coming out and I start getting into it, and things will be close to word for word. Yeah. So this morning I actually wrote a script, and it was 3 hours. And part of it too is I was the topic for today that I was scripting was group patrons. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing some research. I'm delivering some high quality information that is going to help people learn about group patrons, the advantages of using them, why they would want to, how to use them in your games. These are some things. A good group patron has these characteristics and stuff. So I make sure that I think about the topic very well. And so that with the talking head part of the video is going to deliver information to dungeon masters. It's going to help them run their games better. And it's going to be not incredibly crazy, super succinct, but I'm not going to waste too much time talking about it. There's a difference between a video that is 20 hours that has been planned properly to deliver information at a good pace, but give you lots of good information, and a video that's 40 minutes to an hour long that covers the same topic, but because it was poorly scripted or planned, it just takes a whole lot longer to cover the topic, so.
Yeah, I feel a little called out. It's okay. So our early videos, we would literally just like have a topic, turn on the camera, and just start talking.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not conducive to a lot of things you just mentioned. And later we kind of like started bullet pointing things and just like, to get a good flow, right? It's all about how the video flows. Is the important thing to figure out. So you're not like, otherwise you end up repeating the same things over and over.
You do. Yeah, you do. I've done videos where I've just had bullet points of things and I talk to them, I find that what I find is that it reduces my scripting time, but then the filming time increases because I'm like, okay, I had this bullet point. What are the things I wanted to talk about? I put this bullet point, and then I got to think a little bit, and then I got to deliver it. You know what I mean? And then sometimes I end up repeating myself. So it's like, the time is either here or the time is here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like I have super high expectations of myself and my videos that I put out and the products that I produce. Like my expectations are very, very high. So when I see a video that I put out and then it occurs to me, Luke, you didn't talk about this part of that topic. And then I'm just like, this, you screwed that up. You let people down because you didn't talk about that thing, And so I try to put that effort into the scripting of it, the bullet pointing or, when I'm thinking about my ideas. So that way I can give a very as thorough as possible. And I'll also do things like I'll put out community posts on my YouTube channel where I'll ask people, hey guys, like I had a community post. Hey guys, tell me things about group patrons, how you implement them in your games and stuff like that. So that then not only am I using my own information based upon my experience, but I'm pinging the wider community for ideas that they have that I might be able to be like, yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's incorporate some of these tips and advice from other dungeon masters into the video too. So that I'm sharing even more information with people. You know what I mean? So
outsourcing the process.
Yeah. I'm
for us, it's a lot harder because it's two people. Like you can't, like if you script, we're not good enough actors to script the whole conversation.
Oh yeah, no, that you can't do that. Yeah,
that's why we ended up going with bullet points, and also it's like, and then if you're talking about a script that you have to see it because you haven't memorized the whole thing, it's like the logistics for that is a whole another nightmare. We've looked into so many different things, having done this for a while.
You could, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're doing a 2-person thing, you could so if dungeon dudes, they have a teleprompter right there, I guarantee you, and they're both sitting shoulder to shoulder reading off from it. You know what I mean? So that's it's scripted out for them. But they do a different presentation style than what you guys do. And that for instance, WebDM does. You guys are literally just having a conversation. You have an idea of in advance, I'm sure, of what you're going to talk about and different points you're going to make, but you're literally just having a conversation. You know what I mean? But there's nothing wrong with that because those videos, that video style is that more informal conversational video style, especially when you have your establishing shot and then you have a close up on one person, close up on another person. That works very well in the video sphere because when you have that image changing constantly, establishing shot, close up and stuff with a person going back and forth, that's a very engaging way to deliver a video too. So that's a good presentation style too, you know what I mean? But when you only have one person doing the talking head, you know what I mean? You have to, it's more challenging to be engaging. And I feel like you have to be more on point with what you're saying, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And to think back like our early videos where it was just like the one shot and there's 3 to 4 of us on there and like yelling over top of each other. It was such a nightmare to go back and watch those. But at the time, like there wasn't that much content on YouTube either. So
Yeah.
And the content there was just like one person talking, and to
Mhm.
see us four jackasses like talking over top of each other. I went back and tried to I tried to do the oh my god, my brain's not working. Words from the video. Um
Script
no.
or
Uh
transcript?
Transcript, that's it.
Uh,
And like trying to transcript when it was a video
Oh,
with four of us on
oh,
there.
huh.
I like, oh my god, this is a nightmare. How did anybody ever listen to us, and why would they?
Yeah. Yeah. I pay people to transcribe my videos. Yeah. I just outsource that stuff. I outsource as much as I can, you know. Um,
Yeah, and
uh,
then so another thing is you actually come up often when we're talking about live streams,
mhm.
because I'm like, I don't know how Luke does it. I'll go by like my feed and I'll see that you streamed a while ago for 3 hours. I'm like, what is Luke talking
Mhm.
about for 3 hours? 4 hours. You are
Uh-huh.
like epic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I live stream twice a week, and essentially the Tuesday live streams are usually, I'll look at some D&D news and talk about some things maybe for a
Yeah.
little bit, but then I really just take questions from people and then we talk about stuff, for in 3 hours it's not hard to hit 3 hours, Um, and then the Friday live streams, we are creating D&D resources for dungeon masters. So we'll pick NPCs and we'll spend 3 hours making NPCs or magic items or traps or puzzles or an entire adventure. We could get an entire adventure created in 3 hours. It's a stretch and it is
Yeah.
very streamlined and there's not a whole lot of details, but it is a framework that somebody could actually run. And then whatever we create in that live stream on Friday, I'll put on my website, thedmlair.com, and people can get it for free to use in their games. So I view my Friday live streams as kind of like a service that I do to the community. There are two purposes of it. One, we create resources that people can use for free. Two, people who are there or who watch the rebroadcast of it can see the process and learn how to do it themselves. So it's very easy to fill up the time doing those things. And there's the Tuesday ones, there's always a plethora of questions that people have. It also works really well too because the Tuesday videos or the Tuesday live streams, the content from those, I'll take the real zingers or the really
Yeah.
good questions or the ones where I had a really good rant, and then I'll take that and that literally becomes my Saturday YouTube video. So I am repurposing that content. And so it serves a very good purpose as well for the YouTube channel, if that makes sense. So it works really well. Folks get their questions answered. We can hang out and chill. And then I get material for another video that I don't have to script at all. And the editing is very fast on those Saturday videos. I actually do that editing myself. I don't pay someone to do that. It's
Well,
just easy.
that's a plus. I know that was my favorite thing, is to hand off the editing when that finally happened.
Oh yeah, I love my editor is amazing. I'm so happy to have the editor. My Tuesday videos are all the very high production value ones,
Yeah.
and I have an editor that does those. And I used to do those all myself, and I'm so happy to not have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when you become a YouTuber or own a small business, like you end up doing so many different jobs, and any which one of them could just be somebody's job. But when you're starting out, you don't have that luxury. So
Exactly. Yeah,
I
but
feel you.
it's good though because you learn how to do that stuff and you understand what it takes and how it's done. So then when you contract somebody to do it, dude, really, this is a 2-hour job. Don't even try to bill me 5 hours. Come
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah.
You just know. And the other beautiful part is that if that person quits or something, you can bring that work back in house. Now,
Do it,
will
yeah.
that take tons of time? Yes. Am I going to be quite as good as my editor if he ever quits? No. It's not going to be fun, but I theoretically could take it back if I had to, even though I don't want to.
I will
So no
say
one
on
to
the
do
flip side is also you can really appreciate when you get someone good as
it.
well.
I had tryouts for my editor, and there were many people that submitted things, and I was getting to like the end of the list of looking at people's submissions,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, I would have to train. I had a couple candidates where I was like, they could probably do it, but I would have to teach them some things because they're not up to snuff. And then I had Zach do his, and I was like, Zach's my current editor. He did his, and I was like, I can't even tell the difference between me editing it and him editing it. You're hired.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You're hired, buddy. Let's go. And now he takes it to the next
Yeah.
level. And what he does is better than I was doing previously. So it's
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah.
Also, it is really hard to get good at doing something like editing if you're doing editing and a lot of other things, right? You don't have the extra time to invest in getting better at it. You're going to plateau sooner, I feel like.
Oh, and you can't do as many things, like paying Zach to do the editing. Not only is he better at it than I was, but it frees up my time to do the Kickstarter, to do Lair Magazine, to do more live streams, or whatever the activity happens to be. I have that time to do things that are probably more interesting to me, that I enjoy doing more. And there are some things when you're running a business like we run that only you can do. Like, no, I can't pay someone to sit in front of the camera and do these things and talk to the camera. That's me. I have to do the skits. Could I pay somebody to write the scripts? You lose some of the heart and soul. It'd be different. It'd have a different feel. So maybe you can't, can I pay someone else to do the live streams? Not really. Can I pay someone to write the adventures for Lair Magazine? Yeah, I can pay someone to do that. Okay, giddy up. So you have to, it's kind of like recognizing what are the parts of the business that only you can do, and what are the parts that you really should be paying other people to do, so that you can focus on the things that give you the most value, and then have other people pay them to do the things that you don't have to do and that they can probably do better because they have more time to do it. And a lot of people just love doing it because it's like, oh wow, I'm helping, I'm working for the YouTuber. It's they like it. It's exciting, it's like, it's really cool, so yeah.
You're part of the team.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so appreciative of the team that I'm developing around me, like my moderators and the freelancers and Danny, who does a ton of work for me too, and Penguin Butt, like lots of people on my team that literally I could not do what I'm doing if I didn't have this team around me. And I'll like drop little notes and stuff to these folks from time to time on my Discord, telling them how much I appreciate it. And I don't know to what extent they understand like how much it's so totally true, because if I had to do all that stuff myself, I couldn't do it. It's impossible. You can't, you know what I mean? So
there's a saying, if you're working in your business, you can't work on your business. And, and the benefit to you guys is when Luke's not working in his business and working on it, eventually you get more Luke,
exactly.
So it's super important.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If I had to do all that, yeah.
We are way past the hour mark now. Final thoughts?
No, this is cool. Yeah. Thank you. This is fun. I have no final thoughts.
Well, thanks for coming on, Luke. I appreciate it. And until next time, everyone, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.